And this wind is blowing. The fan is doing its job today. Okay, so we are started. Hey, hey, y'all. Welcome once again to the Kingdom Wives podcast. Today I'll be interviewing the dynamic Tanisha Collins with a C, not with an H. She is a relationship coach and the founder of Strong Marriage. I adore her and her ministry and all that she's doing in the kingdom, especially the work she's doing along with her husband by her side. So, Tanisha, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Wonderful. I'm super excited about this. So, let's start with tell the people a little bit about you. What is it that we need to know?
Well, I always introduce myself as a happily married wife because I am. Um, I want to say that this September we will celebrate 31 years of marriage, and I am super, super excited about that. So I bring that with me into my coaching sessions, and I believe that God not only gave me a blissful marriage just for me, and it's
Mm,
not just for my kids, but it's so the world can see that it's possible, that it's
mhm.
obtainable. And it's also what I use to help those in my sessions to make sure they have a blissful marriage too. So I'm all about marriage. I'm all about going to weddings. Invite me, people. I love going to weddings. I love romance movies. I love it all because it's a special gift from God. So that's me
Amen.
in a nutshell.
Amen. I love it. And especially happily married. Okay. Too many people are out here on social media talking about how hard it is, how bad it is, and how now don't get me wrong, you got your moments. Okay.
Yes.
But still we
Yes,
can
with moments.
enjoy our marriage. Amen.
Yes.
Well, I have a couple questions for you here. Number
Mhm.
one, how do you define effective communication within a marriage context? And what role do you believe it plays in fostering sexual satisfaction? In case y'all did not know, even the saved couples need to be having sex, okay?
Saints have sex too.
We supposed to. We the only
We're
ones that's
supposed
supposed to
to.
be doing it, okay?
Right. That part. We
That
are
part.
the only ones who are supposed to be having sex.
Come on
And I
with it.
like to say lots of it and often.
Yes, Jesus.
Yes. Yes. And should be good all the time. But let
And all the time, let it be good.
right. So when we talk about effective communication, and I love this topic because to me, if you can effectively communicate, you've got it.
Hmm.
You've got it. Effective communication, when I say it, this is what I mean. I mean actively listening in
Mm.
order to understand and speaking strategically so that you can share your thoughts and feelings with the listener in the hopes that they would comprehend and relate. That
Mm.
is the whole point of us communicating. It's for us to understand each other. It's the way we experience life together. It's the way we build intimacy. It's the way we trust. It's by communicating. Everything is communicating. We don't have these, my husband and I are Marvel fans and DC fans. And we like, talking about, well, which superpower would you like? Which superpower do you want? And I want telepathy because then you could just know exactly what I'm talking about. Or I want to fly or whatever. Well, in reality, there's none of that. Our superpower is the way we effectively communicate. And I always say effectively because communication by itself is not necessarily effective.
Mhm,
And that's how it correlates to the bedroom
mhm,
because when you have that effective communication, there's intimacy there, there is trust building there. And when you are trusting someone and you are connected with them, and these chemicals are releasing according to God's design, then that bond allows you to naturally, I mean, you just naturally want to go to that next step. It's a natural function. So, the world wants to say, and this is my little sidebar, the world wants to say that it's nasty and it's you shouldn't be doing it. And in the church we hear about sex and it's don't, no, no. But it's a natural, beautiful, holy thing or gift that God is giving a husband and his own wife, not a husband and somebody else's wife, but your own wife. So, effective communication, if you master that, and it's an art, if you master it, then you can basically master anything else in the relationship.
Mm. Honey, there were so many nuggets. Okay. So many nuggets there, especially communication being a superpower, effective communication being a superpower. Because just because you talking and somebody's sitting
Right.
in front of you does not mean that you're communicating. And I love that you touched on the fact that the church says that sex, no, 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 it's a nasty thing. First of all, let's just make this clear. Why would God tell us or give us the blessing of creating life only through sex and then saying sex is a bad thing?
Right.
That doesn't even make any sense. So the fact that it's a blessing within a marriage between a husband and a wife, and we've got to remove the shame
Yes.
some have placed on it outside of wedlock, outside of marriage. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
hold
Mm-hmm.
yourself, cross them legs,
Told you so.
keep yourself. But within marriage, come on now. Okay. So I
Yes.
love that you touched on all of that. Um, I did have a question that came up as you were talking. So what do you think are some of the blockers for effective communication?
Ooh, the blockers. What immediately comes to my mind is when you say something,
Mm,
how you say something,
mm,
um, the way your body language is. Do you look interested? Are you across the room, looking at your phone while someone's talking to you? Are you showing signs that you actually, want to relate and feel what they're feeling? Because that's what effective communication is. I'm feeling what you're feeling. It's like the okay, we're Trekkies too. Star Trek, the mind meld, to feel exactly, to share that experience. That life is sharing experiences. So barriers to that would be, you just have no interest. It is not the right time to talk. There are times that are perfect for conversations, and there are times where this is not the place. This is not the time. I'm not in the mood. I'm not emotionally capable of
mm,
responding to you. I don't have the emotional capacity at this present moment to be able to give you what you need, to be able to be what I'm supposed to be to you. So all those things will be barriers to effectively communicating. And if you can't recognize that, if you can't read the room, you're going to mess the situation up. You're going to turn something that is this big into something that's this big into, I don't know what happened, but now we're in divorce court.
mm. I
Yes.
love, love, love that. And you brought up an amazing point about capacity. Do you have the capacity for this conversation? My husband and I just literally just this afternoon, some things were going on and we're talking. I had to stop. I say, babe, I'm sorry, I don't have the capacity right now with everything that's going on. And you know what he said? He said, okay. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
turn into a let me force this upon you and make
Right.
you,
Right.
so and in order for me to say I'm beyond capacity or I don't have capacity, that it sounds like it requires a level of self-awareness where
Yes.
you're able to identify, hold up, I'm already at 10. I'm trying to work my way back from 10.
Exactly. You have
Mhm.
to regulate yourself and you have to know, you before, I mean, that's, before you get into a relationship, you should know you.
Come on
You
now.
should know what you can handle, how much you can handle, and all that. And for those of you who are already married and you don't, that's the whole point of effective communication as well, allowing you to have conversations saying, hey, I'm not sure if I can handle A, B, or C now or in the next month, or, I'm not sure about me, but that is also the beauty in marriage because you are growing together and
Yeah.
you can learn these things together, especially for those like me who got married early. I was 20, my husband was 23. And what do you know?
Nothing.
What do you know? What do you know? I mean, you know some things, but
Little
what do
bit.
you know? You know a little bit. So that is the beauty also of marriage, that you get to do it with somebody. I mean, for me, it's like, well, I've been with my husband since I was 19, so I can't remember anything like separate. Um, but it's to me, it's more fun to do something with someone else. And the Bible kind of like backs me up by saying, two is better than one, basically. There's several scriptures letting us know that the benefits of being two. And then, of course, God Himself said, it's not good that man be alone.
Come on.
So for us to be together working on those things is awesome. And but we have to still have those conversations to say, I don't know if I can handle this conversation,
Yeah.
or I know I don't have the capacity to handle this conversation at this moment or in the next week because of life is lifing.
Mm.
But it's very important that you must set those times where you go to the complaint counter,
Oh,
where you have these conversations where okay, it might get a little heated, but in the end, we're going to be closer.
yeah. Yeah. And I love the idea of one, of course, being self-aware. Now, this conversation is for the grown woman who are self-aware and believe in checking themselves first. Um,
Yes.
and I love the idea of having the conversation. I'm beyond capacity, saying, you know what? Let's check back in on Friday. You know,
Mhm.
right now there's a lot going on. I want to give you my full undivided attention. I want to be fully connected with you in this conversation. But with
Mhm.
everything that's going on, can we have this conversation 7 o'clock Friday night? I got you, boo. Okay.
Right.
I love that. And let's go on to the next question because there were so many nuggets there. And if I don't move on, we're gonna be stuck right
We'll be
there.
there. We'll be there.
So, in your experience, what specific communication tools or techniques tend to enhance sexual intimacy and satisfaction between two partners? It's getting juicy.
I love it. I love it. My most favorite tool that I share with clients, pretty much everybody who's going to listen, is rules. And
Mm,
people are like, rules, Tanisha, what? I once told someone, oh, that goes against me and my husband's rules. And she looked at me and she was like, that's just stupid. Why did I'm like, but years later, she's divorced and I'm happily married
oh,
because of these rules.
mhm,
And maybe we can use a word that's better, because words have different connotations and different definitions and experiences to different people. So if you got to call them boundaries, if, no matter what you call them, you
mhm,
have to have a guideline, a rule, a boundary, or something where you fight fair,
mhm,
where you create a safe space between you and your partner to discuss what needs to be discussed, because you're going to have conflict. There's going to be hurt. There's going to be disappointment. There are going to be things that are going to rub you the wrong way because you are dealing with another person and because you're dealing with yourself.
come
We
on.
are all flawed. None of us are Jesus. We are striving to be like Jesus, but we are not him. So because we are flawed, um, we have to have these rules. So some of our rules are like, I mean, people like my mom is like, oh, that's basic common sense, but not everybody has common sense. So you may have to, just write some things down. So I will tell my clients to start out with saying, with thinking about how you want to be talked to, because in essence, in a relationship, you are training people how to treat you.
Yes.
So I don't function when you yell at me.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, one of my rules is there will be no yelling when we're discussing, having conversations. There is no yelling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I will not stand for you calling me anything other than honey, baby, sugar, or Tanisha.
Come on.
There will be no cursing.
Mm.
I do not respond to cursing. I will not tolerate curse. You know, there's things that you will not tolerate, things that are a non-starter, things that are going to trigger you to like,
Come on now.
you know, you you don't want to be talking to your spouse, the one that you are living your life with, and you like this all the time. That's not what you get married for.
Mm.
So whatever you want to express to someone else about how they should talk to you or treat you, then that's what should be on your list. And some
Mm.
people say, "What do I have to actually write this down?" Yes,
Mhm.
write it down.
Yes.
You need to know so you can show somebody, you can show them,
This is what we agreed upon.
right. We said we're not going to do this,
Yeah.
so we're not going to do this. But that is the minimum. I mean, it's like the basic, it's like marriage 101. It should be something you discuss when dating because you don't want to get into the marriage relationship and they not know how to treat you. Um, it should be demonstrated, in your life, but it also needs to be written down and shared and talked about. So
Mm.
that's a big one. Another thing, what would I say? In relation to sexual satisfaction in your marriage relationship, you want to have conversations about sex. Yes, you want to talk about sex. When you're married. When you're engaged, you might get into a little bit of it because you need to make sure everything is functioning because there's nothing worse than getting married and you've been defrauded because things don't function.
Come on now.
I'm not
Not
talking about
function.
that. I'm right. You need to function. Okay. Don't do that to somebody. Okay. Don't do that. But when you're married, you want to have these conversations about what you like, what you want to try, what you don't want to try,
Mhm.
what's definitely off the table. And
Mhm.
and men, here's a little plug for the men. Just because something is off the table now doesn't mean it's going to be off the table forever.
Come on.
So you don't have to get upset or feel pressed. No one should feel, pressed to do this. And it's not like you're my wife, so you're going to do X, Y, and Z. Because remember, the Holy Spirit is with us too.
Mhm.
And yes, the bed is undefiled, but we need to be all on the same page about what we're doing on this bed so that nobody feels defiled.
Exactly. Exactly.
So those two things are going to be my top tools to enhance your sexual intimacy and to make sure that you are clearly and effectively communicating about it. If you can do that, that is going to not only keep you on the same page, but I mean, it's arousing to say, oh, babe, I like A, B, and C, and your performance on A, B, and C was excellent. And I think I need a repeat. I mean, that is just going to like skyrocket all kinds of adrenaline, dopamine, excitement, all those. I don't have my husband in here to give me the healthcare terms for all the things that are released inside of you that say, let's go to the bedroom right now.
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah.
I love that you spoke about these rules or boundaries. In my coaching, we normally call them expectations.
Okay,
No,
okay.
this is what I'm expecting. This is what you're expecting. Let's make sure we're on the same page.
Mhm.
Um, but I love the fact that number one, you said we need to have a conversation about what's working and what's not working.
Yes.
Let's make sure everything is doing what it needs to do.
Right.
And if not, what are we gonna do
What are we gonna do to fix it?
fix it?
Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
just gonna let it fall by the wayside, especially, you know, I'm not sure of your age, but we're at that age in life where stuff starts, you know. So
It
we
may
want
not work every time.
come on now. Let's just real talk here. So,
Yeah.
what are we doing in the process? What are the expectations
Hmm.
while, we're making these modifications in our relationship? Because what we don't want to do is shut down all intimacy. That's not an option.
No, that is not an option in marriage. I want the ladies to hear me.
Mhm,
Sex is, I mean, certain men argue, the percentage of men argue as to whether or not it's number one or number two in their top needs. But girlfriend, it's in the top three. Okay.
mhm,
Like we want affection and love and safety, and they're like sex, 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 then other stuff.
mhm,
Okay, it's a tie between respect and sex, but they are there. If you can't get those two right, number one, this man is not going to marry you, and number two, he's not going to give himself to you. Because I know that men are like they're functional logic.
mhm,
Uh, Logically, on paper, it would be the best ideal to marry you, but will he give his heart to you? Will
mm,
he give all of himself to you? Will he trust you with his heart? And that's what you want. You want a husband, you want a wife who trusts you with their heart and shares their entire life with you.
mm,
So, without that, do you really have intimacy? Is there really going to be a long lasting, successful, blissful marriage?
mm,
Chances are slim. I mean, nothing is impossible with God, the chances are very slim when you are in a relationship where I'm not giving all myself to you. Because guess what? It's going somewhere.
yeah.
Somebody's getting it. And you want to be the one who's getting it.
Come on now. Come on now. And I do want to throw this plug in there. Of course, we're not saying you need to be having sex with them before marriage. We're not saying that. We're saying that as you're having the conversation prior to marriage, we need to discuss all these things. Now,
Yes.
because I've never really been the kind of girl that did not necessarily want to. So you bring I'm just saying, I haven't been on that spectrum, but what I have noticed in my coaching, normally women, and I want to know from your point of view, women who don't want to have sex have no desire for sex. Um, just it's just not even on their radar at all, and they're married.
Right.
You feel there are possibly underlying issues that are not being addressed that would
Oh, yes.
make them say, nope, it's not even a thought anymore.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And this is effective communication. That's why I love this topic. If a husband does not initiate intimacy with his wife, why why is she going to be in the mood? Why would she be inclined? Um, I have a pastor friend who says women are microwaves. No, no, no. Men are microwaves and women are crock pots.
My goodness.
And there's some truth in that because for us, it is more of a mental thing. You know, men are known to be able to engage in sexual activity and have no emotional, just
Yeah.
allowing that physical aspect. But for most women, there has to be an emotional connection, a link there before we are ready to engage in meaningful, loving sexual intimacy.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about in marriage, you want meaningful sexual intimacy. When I say great sex, I am talking about a spiritual connection. I'm talking about a physical connection as well as an emotional connection. All of those things working together to produce the big O, to produce those fireworks in the bedroom. And that only comes about if you have that connection there. So for women who are like, look, I do not want to have it. Okay. Um, I was there and it would, and I find for myself, it was right after having, not right after having a baby, but a little bit after having a baby, where the responsibilities were so overwhelming and so new. Everything came so quick. Um, in case your viewers don't know my story, my husband and I met in May. Hi, how you doing? My name is in 1993. June 1993, we were dating. In July 1993, he proposed. And in September 1993, we were married. So it was quick, 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 quick. So if there is no connection there, then there is no intimacy. And then with all these things happening, I mean, I was still in college. I was traveling to finish my degree. No one taught me how to be a wife. Nobody, not the church, not my mom. Nobody taught me nothing. Nobody said anything, nothing. So the wife responsibility of trying to be this great college student, trying to be a new mom, what do I do? All of these things were just, it was weighing on me. And I had no emotional capacity to think about some sex. I was thinking, I have a life in my hands. And if I do something wrong, I could kill this baby.
Mm-hmm.
It was that deep. But what we didn't know, because at that time in 93, my husband wasn't a healthcare professional.
Mm-hmm.
I was having postpartum depression. No one knew. I'm going down the drain. I hadn't eaten for an entire month and didn't notice. And
Mm-hmm.
when he brought it to my attention, then I was angry because I hadn't lost any weight.
Not me not eating for 30 days and still thick. Okay.
Okay. So, so that was, those were medical issues that need to be addressed and were not addressed. Therefore, brother wasn't getting any. Bless his heart.
Bless you, Jesus.
But that, or none of it's not a medical issue, but yet she's swamped at work. She's swamped cleaning up the house. You're not helping. You come home from work and you're just relaxing and chilling. And then when it's time to go to bed, you want to tap her on the shoulder. What intimacy have you given her throughout the day? You
Mm-hmm.
have not shown her any affection. You have not filled her love tank at all. And now you want the microwave to appear. It's not going to happen for a woman.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have intimacy. And so, if no one else gets it, men, if you want to have more sex with your own wife, I'm not talking about the chick on the side and the girlfriends, with your own wife, you have to be intimate with her outside of the bedroom. And you do that by having those intimate conversations, by filling her love tank. And you fill her love tank by knowing what her love language is. She
Mm-hmm.
needs to feel love the way she receives love. And it may be different from the way you receive love. But yes, I tell you, effective communication is like the bedrock of understanding one another and having a fulfilling sexual experience in marriage.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. Also, I love the part about communicating and him knowing what she like. But I also want to empower the women to also y- be your own advocate. You be the person to say, this is what I like. This is what I need.
Yes.
This is what I desire. And in order for you to
Yes.
do that, you need to know what you like, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We can't let social media fool us from thinking that trips and shopping sprees that works for everybody. I'm a
Yeah.
simple kind. I mean, prior to I'm into a lot of different things, but I'm pretty basic when it comes to um we can sit on the couch watching Netflix. I got some Haagen-Dazs in my hand. I am good. Okay. So
Mhm.
you got to let him know what are those little baby steps that leads you down the path to, hey baby, I'm ready. Okay.
Right.
letting him know what you need help with around the house. Because some ladies, they love cleaning the house by themselves. That is not my blessing. That's not,
That is not my blessing either.
honey, that is not my thing in any way. But I know so many women, oh, if he would just leave me alone, let me clean the stuff,
Mhm.
but what is it that you need him to do that's overwhelming you to take that
Mhm.
pressure off of you? And once again, we go back
Yeah,
to being self-aware,
that is true.
knowing where
Yeah.
you are and being able to articulate that in a way to where he gets it. We want this,
Mhm.
well, he should know we've been together,
No,
20 years. First of all, I am not the same woman I was 20 years ago.
exactly.
I have changed. When we first got married, I didn't want no flowers. I'm like, they gonna die anyway. Why are you bringing me flowers? Now, at this good old ripe age, bring me all the flowers. I want flowers every day of the week if you can. you know. So as you evolve,
Mhm.
you're constantly teaching him how to love you and how to
Yes.
arouse you and what you need from him. This is amazing
Mhm.
conversation. I love
This is
this.
amazing. I love this conversation. Okay. Yes, you are constantly teaching. You should be a student of your spouse all the
Yeah.
time, a student of your spouse, ever learning. It's like the city of Santa Monica in California is called the ever learning community. And I love that city. It's one of my favorite cities in California.
Mhm.
And they're all about, continuous learning. They have free classes for adults. They want you to just everyone there just to be educated and continue.
Oh.
That's what we have to, take as a mantra for us. I'm always going to be a student of my spouse. I'm always going to, what do you like? Do you still like this? I actually have a list in my phone called What Chris Likes. And he'll
Oh,
say stuff and I'll update it. Okay. Oh, that's different. Oh, or he'll send me, ooh, I like this. I like these cowboy boots, or I like this. I will screenshot that, put it right on that list.
you a good wife.
Yes. Praise Jesus. I receive it because I want to know what he likes. I want to know, what I want to do those things and know more about him.
Mm,
And that's what we have to do for one another.
yes, yes. I
Mm.
love the idea of creating a list. I love that.
Yes.
Um, which is something I've never thought of doing. But my husband, he's pretty. He's an easy man to love. He really, really. It don't take many bells and whistles for him.
Amen. Amen. Hmm.
So, we already talked about communication barriers.
Hmm.
Um, what role does empathy and understanding play in facilitating open communication about sexual desires?
Ooh, empathy is so important. And I want to stress what empathy is because everyone knows sympathy. I feel sorry for your situation.
Yeah.
But empathy is much more. It's feeling what you're feeling. When
Mm,
people say walk a mile in my shoes, well, this is what you have to do for your spouse in order to understand where they are. And this is what brings intimacy and the arousal and the desire to have more sexual fulfillment is, being empathetic, actually feeling. Um, I can't think of the movie that my husband and I watched, but the whole movie was about this person injecting this particular drug so that they could so they could feel and experience exactly what this other person was feeling and experiencing.
mm,
So that's what we have to do on a daily basis. If we're not doing something, creating a memory together, then you still have to share that. And so, how do we do that? Well, you have to put on your empathy hat and you have to try your best. And, if that requires prayer, because
mm,
it's not an easy thing. Not everyone has the emotional intelligence to be able to just snap into it. I remember at a Bible study years ago, they had this test that we took, and it would tell you um, where you ranked in like the gifts in the Bible that they talk about, like showing mercy and this and that. And well, one of those things is being a like an empath or empathetic. I kind of don't like to use those words of today because it's along with mysticism and all that, but I'm talking biblical,
Mm-hmm.
showing mercy. That person who's compassionate like Jesus understands your plight. That's kind of like their gift of what they do. And not everyone has that innate gift or that trait within you. So you have to learn it. And you learn it by listening, actively listening, not listening to get your response back. Oh, I'm gonna say that. Or I'm gonna say this when they. Oh, I'm gonna say that. You've missed the whole paragraph where you were taking mental notes about what you're going to say. You have to actively listen and try to imagine yourself in that situation. How did they feel? Look at it from their perspective. So that's intimacy. What's the word? Empathy. Empathy is extremely important because without that, there is no understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the whole goal of effective communication, to understand where your spouse is coming from. That way, you're on the same page. And being on the same page is creating that oneness that God said that we should be. So it's highly important. And I'm telling y'all, it just leads to that good loving in the bedroom. It just, I mean, when you can understand what your spouse just told you, and you're like, oh my goodness, if your spouse comes in and something has happened to them and they're devastated, you should be able to feel that devastation and be there with them and be that comfort. And guess what? Although it's devastating, that brings you closer together. I
Mm-hmm.
can't explain the physics of it. I can't explain all, the intricate details, but that's the way God designed us. And when you share those intimate moments and those times together, that's what bonds you. That's what keeps you get together. That's what strengthens you. That's what makes your relationship different from any other relationship. And that in turn turns you on. That in turn revs up that fire. That in turn adds gasoline to that flame. And then you have the sparks in the bedroom, the lights flashing, and all that good stuff because you simply decided to be empathetic with your spouse.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
I love it. Oh, my thing started doing something over here. Okay. So, one final question. Of course, I specialized with wives who are recovering from infidelity, chose to stay with their husbands and rebuild. And of course, this can be one of the touchy conversations, communication and rebuilding intimacy. So
Mhm.
those who are recovering from infidelity and even those who are just married and just want to make sure their marriage is 100, what are a couple tools that you believe they can use to improve communication skills and in turn rev up their desires for one another?
Ooh, okay. So let's see. One of my favorites, we talked about timing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's a real simple tool that I give my clients, and I call it the marbles method.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, when you go to the ER and you'll see their little thing on the wall, what's your pain level? And they have 1 to 10 with these little smiley faces or sad faces. It's kind of like that, but it's like marbles. If you have 5 marbles, you are like 100%. Your capacity is full. You can take everything you're ready to take on the day. But if you have one, anything can break you, and it is not the time to talk. So when you are dealing with something and it's like a hot button issue, or you got to go to the complaint counter and you have to share something that you did not like with your spouse,
Mm-hmm.
the goal is not to hurt or accuse, but the goal is to get back on that one page.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do have a disagreement or a disappointment or you're hurt, there's a rift in the relationship and it has to be repaired so that you're back on the same page, back in the unity. So, you would use the marbles method and you would just say, hey, how many marbles do you have? And then
Mm.
it alerts your spouse, because I know men hate, we got to talk. They hate that phrase. Don't say it. Don't say it. But if you say, how many marbles do you have? Now they're alert. Okay, we got to discuss something. It could be confrontational. Am I ready? Then you can evaluate yourself to know whether or not this is a good time or not. So the person could say, I've got four marbles. Yeah, we can talk. Or I got two marbles. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should just hold off. Then you can have that conversation. So that's one. Another would be what I call the sandwich method. And
Mhm.
this method is easy to remember because you're thinking of the sandwich. And the bread is going to be like the compliments, things that you admire, the way you're going to pump them up. And then the meat is the meat of the heart of the issue, the stuff that you have to say that maybe no one wants to say, but you have to say. So those two tools are like lifesavers. Using the sandwich method after you've ascertained whether or not it's a good time with the marbles method will keep you on point. And then I want to stress what you need in the meat, because everyone wants to focus on, um, you did this, you no, 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 no. The meat is strategic. Remember, I said effective communication. So they're going to actively listen while you strategically speak.
Mhm.
So the strategy is for you to use I statements. I felt the way you felt when this happened, so that you're not making the person who's listening feel like they have to defend themselves. You
Mhm.
don't want your spouse to come like this because you said you. We don't want that. So I felt sad when my phone call was not returned and I was worried. I needed you to respond. I needed a response to know, if anything was wrong, if you were angry. I just needed to know how you felt in that moment. With that simple statement, I have told you what happened. I told you what I needed in that moment and what I did not receive. And I'm going to also give you a solution. I'm
Mhm.
not just going to leave it open so you can wonder, like, how I'm supposed to do that. I felt bad when you didn't respond or call me back or call back. And I really needed to know what you were feeling at the moment. Next time, could you please just let me know that everything's okay? Maybe you can't talk or something, but I need to have you respond. That's important to me. I really appreciate how good you treat me and how much you love me. And I enjoy when we're on the same page. Sandwich method.
Mhm.
He's not going to be, he or she is not going to be like, what you say? I didn't do that. And they're ready to actually hear, like, oh, okay. Oh, all I had to do was just respond and say, I can't talk right now, honey, but they have the solution. They don't have to wonder, well, dang, what does she want? What does he want? That way, you can deal with all kinds of things, all kinds of conflicts you have without it being like, oh man, we got to talk. Here we go. There's no dread to it because you're going to hear something good to start and you're going to hear something good to end. And so that will sweeten what they say, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. You got to have the medicine because it's good for you. But get some of that good sweet stuff, and then
Mhm.
you don't mind taking the medicine. So those are, I think, the most powerful tools that couples can use to solve any issue and to sweeten that pot. So you say enough little sweet pieces of bread, then you could be talking and walk into the bedroom and you've created that intimacy with this conversation. You're going to feel closer. And so now You can just go on with the next best step.
The next best step. Okay.
That's it.
Oh my goodness, Tanisha, I could sit here and talk to you all day. You know, I love you and all that you do. Can you tell my viewers where can they connect with you, or if you have any upcoming projects that you'd like for them to attend?
Yes. I am in the works. I can't even get it out. I'm so excited. I'm seeing other groups of pastors. I have a lot of pastor friends, and we are all on the marriage tip, and we are having a virtual conference August 31st. So we are like pumped, excited, excited. You can get more information when all the details come out and everything on my website, which is mrstanishacollins.com. You can also follow me on all the social media platforms. I say all, but I know they have so many that I'm not on. Find me on Instagram. Find me on LinkedIn. Find me on Pinterest. Find me on YouTube. But if you go to my website, you'll have every link to my social media platforms. And you can see kind of like the way I coach and my style. And, I love marriage. That's why I love partnering with people like Coach Hollins so that we can help couples to enjoy the gift that God has given us. So that's what we're going to be talking about August 31st.
Yay, yay. Y'all make sure y'all go ahead and find her on social media, okay? Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the description below. You'll definitely see her contact information there and you'll be able to connect with her. Okay. Once again, Tanisha, thank you so much for partnering with me and sharing how we need to communicate so that we can make it happen in the bedroom. Okay.
Yes, make it happen. Thank
Hey,
you for having me again. I love it.
no problem, honey. We'll connect soon.
Okay.
All right, y'all have an amazing evening.